This is a bonus episode here on the Beyond Jaws podcast where we're going to be talking to Sophie Maycock about her book. Let me put it in front here. Shark, a illustrated biography. If you thought you knew things about sharks, you might want to take a look at this book because I think some of the information here will surprise you. And we're going to talk all about that, especially the way that sharks have been presented in this book. Not your typical book that you would think for sharks. So this is going to be a fun episode. Let's get started with the show. Hey, everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Beyond Jaws podcast, a bonus episode. I am your co-host, Andrew Lewin, here with my other co-host, Dr. David Ebert. Dave, are you ready to talk about sharks today?
Oh, absolutely. Especially we got a new shark book coming out. That's always a great one. And having Sophie Maycock on, she's just electric. It was amazing.
Oh yeah,
it's going to be an amazing interview. And I didn't really know her that much other than through social media and stuff. And of course, her co-author Dan Abel, I've known for quite a few years. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. Her episode talking a little bit about her background and how she got into doing the sharks and well, I don't want to give away the episode, but listeners,
exactly,
super interesting how she got interested in doing the doing this book and everything. So hope you enjoy it. I really hope you enjoy it, and definitely check out this episode. So.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. This is something that we all love to talk about, Dave, with the amount of books that you've written, and then of course, for having Sophie for someone who's writing her first book, or who's written her first book with a little legendary Daniel Abel, who we've had on the podcast before. So it's a lot of fun to be able to talk about, how this all came to be, what came out of it, and then what she has planned for the future. We talk all about that in this interview. So here's the interview with Sophie Maycock. Enjoy, and we'll talk to you after. Hey, Sophie, welcome to the Beyond Jaws podcast. Are you ready to talk about sharks?
I'm always ready to talk about sharks.
Love it.
Well, I want to welcome everybody to another episode of Beyond Jaws podcast. We have a special bonus episode today with the fabulous Sophie Maycock as our guest to talk about her new book, Shark, the Illustrated Biography, that she co-authored with Dan Abel, who was on the podcast last year, and he's a professor at the Coastal Carolina University. Sophie's a specialist, shark specialist and science communications expert who founded and runs a public outreach project, Shark Speak. After earning her bachelor's degree in biological sciences and a master's in evolution, biodiversity, and conservation, Sophie specialized in marine conservation and shark behavior. She's participated in a wide range of research projects and presented her work at several scientific conferences around the world. She gained experience studying sharks in the lab and in the field in South Africa, Australia, the Netherlands, and the Bahamas. And then after moving back to her home country of England, she now turned her attention to sharing her passion for sharks through various outreach projects. Shark Speak has an extensive social media presence, and Sophie also conducts public education events at bookshops, schools, and universities. And this work has culminated in the book we're going to talk about today, Shark, the Illustrated Biography. Her background is she did her bachelor's degree at the University of East Anglia and at her master's at University of Leiden. And Sophie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. It's so great to be here.
Cool. Well, you got to ask you, so everybody wants to know, how'd you get interested in sharks?
By accident is the short version. The long version is that when I was a teenager, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I loved literature and I loved science, and I didn't know what to do. So I decided I'll take a year out and I will go and travel to find myself, like all teenagers say. But it ended up actually working out because I thought I'll volunteer somewhere. I picked randomly and I picked a great white shark diving experience in South Africa. And I only chose it because I thought I'd sound cool. I thought all my friends will think I'm really brave. But it really was a life-changing moment, though. When I saw my first shark in the wild, I just had this amazing, magical moment of oh, wow, everything I thought about these animals was completely wrong. And from that moment on, I decided I wanted to help other people understand why what they think about sharks is wrong.
Were you down at Mussel Bay or Hans Bay, or when you
Yes, it was at Hans Bay in South Africa. Yeah.
Okay, I have to ask because I've spent a lot of time and lived in South Africa, so I got to know. I know all these. I had to ask where exactly you went there. So that must have been quite a thing. Jumping right into the white shark stuff pretty quickly from not
coming
seeing,
out hard.
You grew up in England, correct? So
I did. Yeah, and with the least watery background possible, near Oxford, in the landlocked centre of England, no sharks to be seen anywhere apart from on Attenborough shows. So yeah, completely unlikely, but here I am.
Yeah.
Was that your first encounter, like when you watched Attenborough, do his thing? Was that what made you really understand and be like, okay, this is what I want to do, or this is where I want to explore a little more?
I always suspected I wanted to do something in science. My dad, growing up, was a bit of a hippie, and we were always talking about climate change, turn the lights off, save the energy. I grew up with that, before it was trendy. And so I always was obsessed with like trees and nature and the world and helping people to understand that they should protect the natural world. Right. So I always suspected I might go into that. But it really was this magic moment with this first shark that I saw that I thought, this is it. This is what I want to protect. This is the one thing. Yeah.
Cool. And so, as you did there, did you obviously get into like scuba diving and that type of stuff?
Yeah.
And learn about boating and stuff?
Yeah. So all of that, all the good stuff, like, free diving, scuba diving, like setting the cage up, taking tourists out. And that was where my sort of educational journey began as well, really, with teaching tourists on the boat, when I was learning myself. So it was a bit of a trial by fire, really.
Yeah.
But that's always an interesting way when you speak to the public about sharks compared to learning about the science of sharks, the anatomy, the physiology, the genetics, and even the ecology. You really start to understand what people want to know about the animal too, right? Did you find that when you were doing those tours?
For sure. And what I love about what I do now is, I do a lot of science communication stuff now.
Yeah.
And the reason I fell in love with it is because the public ask the most incredible questions. Right. It's amazing the things people come up with. And I find myself going, do you know what? I don't know the answer. I'm going to have to research that and get back to you. And you don't get those questions from people in the scientific world. You get a whole new sort of a wonder from people that aren't in the field, which is just inspiring.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So after you did the Australia stint, you made it to Australia and the Bahamas, which are kind of some of the nicer places to go as far as sharks.
But also the Netherlands. Don't forget that. I just the Netherlands too. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Don't want to forget that.
Yeah. I did a lot of volunteer work. I just thought, this is something I want to do. I'm just going to, anywhere I go, I'm just going to sort of see if there's anything I can do to volunteer, in the lab, in the field, anywhere. And it's sort of brought me on this sort of circuitous path all around the houses to where I am now. So quite a strange way into academia, but
So you had all these experiences that kind of like that really got you like, okay, I want to be able to communicate about sharks and everything. And so how did you wind up coming back? Well, besides being your home country, how did you end up going back to England?
Well, that was really quite an important moment as well, because I finished my master's and I was thinking I'm going to start applying for PhDs. My career is flying. And I came home to England, and 11 days later we went into the COVID lockdown. So I was I was in my 30s in my parents' house thinking, oh my god, I'm now trapped in England for who knows how long, and I was losing my mind a bit in my house. So I thought, well, I can't do a PhD right now unless I put some sharks in my bath. I thought, we always talk about reaching out to the public. Why don't I just start doing it? And I just started writing articles, and I started setting up my website, and I started meeting the public online. And I thought, actually, this is really fun. And I started really enjoying it. And so I started Shark Speak, and it's just exploded. And now it's sort of become my passion, really. I'm not even in the field with sharks that often. I'm online talking to the public about sharks, which is amazing.
Wow. That's super interesting, turning that situation into such an outreach. So and at that point in time, did you have a very large network of people that you knew in the shark world at all, or?
I did, because I'd been going to conferences throughout my master's, so I'd met a few different people, which was amazing, and they'd really inspired me, So I did have a network, which was great, but I found most of it all sort of just came from social media. Is so powerful. You can go on there and you can meet people all over the world and communicate this, and I had no idea that it would be as far-reaching as it has become.
If we just use it for good, right? If we
Yes,
just
come
use social
on.
media for good, then we're
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Yeah.
If only, right? What a
If
perfect world.
only. But I think it's interesting. You go into obviously a global pandemic. We all went into that. Definitely changed a lot of people's career paths.
Mm,
Including yours. And all of a sudden you find yourself, okay, I've got to build a site. I've got to build a bigger presence. I've got to start like looking at educational tools. How did you like figure out did you just kind of like, I'm just gonna see what happens, like I'm just gonna
yeah.
see, like did you go in as this is gonna be my business, this is gonna be my like full-time thing, and so I'm gonna think about making money off of it, or is this going to just be something that I'm gonna build my profile, figure out what people need in the like with the public, and start building that as a profile, and then after this pandemic, or as it starts to subside, then I'll just kind of resume back to what I was going to do, and follow that dream of doing a PhD or working within the research field or things like that. So obviously a lot's happened in the last 5 years for you, as well
Yep.
as the world. Like when you went into it, did you think of like, this is going to be my full-time thing, or I'm just going to do this as a way to keep me busy?
Honestly, the latter. It was just, I
Yeah.
was losing my mind, locked in my house. I wanted
Right.
to keep my mind sharp and keep that science mind sharp as well,
Yes.
keep on top of,
Yes.
the findings and what's happening. And I thought, I just want to just throw it against the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
And it just became something that I found I really enjoyed. And,
Mm-hmm.
even now, it's not something that I would love it to be my full time job that I can do day in,
Right.
day out. But I'm not quite at the point where I can quit my day job yet. But I still do it because I just love doing it, and I love the
Mm-hmm.
research, I love the writing, and I love
Mm-hmm.
getting feedback from people who, I met somebody recently who said, my daughter is 5 and she loves sharks and she's so inspired to see a woman in the field. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. I'm
That's
inspiring
huge.
a young girl. That's so cool. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think actually I don't know if I will ever go back into like hardcore
Right.
academia, because
Mhm.
I wouldn't say no. But
Right.
equally, is it where my love is now? Is
Yeah.
it where the passion is now?
I'll be honest, I followed a very similar passion. Like it was the same path. It's doing the podcast and talking about science and conservation with a lot of other people. It's how Dave and I met, and we started this podcast. It changes it changes your life, and when you realize like, this is fun, I really enjoy doing this, and I can help a lot of people, just like that 5-year-old girl, and I'm sure there's probably more of those stories of all ages, to be able to say I help people either get over their fear of sharks, or really satisfy that curiosity of with the different types of sharks. And like, I'm on your website right now as we speak, and all of these
Yes.
different photos and
Yeah.
like little tidbits of information, just even before you even click on an image, and it's just like, oh, this is really cool.
Mhm.
So I really love that aspect. But then you have this website, you have these, on the website there's articles, there's fast facts, so you're writing a lot about sharks. What made you decide to be like, oh yeah, now I'm gonna just write a book,
Is this
because
is this a shameless plug moment?
I can do this stuff. Yeah, we all have a book of this is
Yeah.
great.
Do you know what? This is the funniest story, because it was the weirdest sort of simpatico moment, where I thought, you know what? I've got a lot of content online now.
Yeah.
Maybe I can turn it into a book. I wonder if I could do that. And it was so
Interesting.
strange, because about a week later, literally within days, I got this email to my inbox, and this, Dan Abel. And, I've got all Dan's books. I know Dan
Right.
as somebody, I was fangirling over this email, being like, oh my goodness, it's Dr. Abel. Emailing me saying, I'm writing this book and it's going to be something different to anything else that is out there. And I think I need a unique, new voice on it. Would you be interested? And I swear I didn't think it was him. I thought it was somebody catfishing me. And I was like, when we go onto a Zoom, it's going to be like a 50-year-old woman in Africa. This is not going to be Dan Abel. And it was him. And so
Wow.
he found me through my site, and he enjoyed the tone of my writing, and sort of the passion and, and the love, which is what Dan has as well. It's not just about being a scientist, it's about the
Right.
love. And that was why he offered me, co-author on the book. And it was crazy because as we started writing it, you cannot tell who wrote which piece. I read chapters and I'm like, this could be me or Dan. We've got exactly the same tone.
Nice.
Yeah, so it worked out so well.
I just want to highlight something here because and give you your flowers on this, because like pandemic hits, you could have just said, I'm going to take a break, ride this thing out, maybe get a job locally or, do whatever. Like a lot of people did, right? They did whatever they had to do to get over this thing. You spent a lot of time on this website building content, probably at the beginning, not knowing if anybody's going to really look at it, right? Like I think we all go through that. And then all of a sudden you keep building and building and building. You start getting more and more viewers and more people to come. And then all of a sudden people within your industry within your field start to recognize it. And then somebody who you've read for a long time comes out of nowhere, and for me, that's the same thing that's happened to me, where some people are like, I have no business knowing this person. And they contacted me, to come on the podcast or whatever. And you're just like, holy cow. It's like, it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling, but it's also, you put yourself out there.
Yeah.
And opportunities came. I think a lot of people that I meet that want to get into the marine conservation field or do something within that field, they tend to sit around and not do anything about it. Right? It's start a website, start a channel, start something to talk about and show your passion.
Yeah.
And you may or may not get rewarded for it, but likely some opportunity is going to come up that you may or may not have ever expected. Like, did you ever think you were going to write a book?
I mean, I would, in my wildest dreams.
You were thinking of it, I guess.
But it's like, you don't think that that's really going to happen,
Right.
And for all those years, I mean, because it was years of putting in hours and graft and thinking no one's going to see it, putting an article up and you get 30 views and you're like, it's not going anywhere.
Yes.
And that's the thing, is that people don't realize about, successful people, right? You don't see the thousands of hours behind that have gone in.
Yeah.
And doing this project, I really realized that. I was like, you've got to go out there and chase it down, because it isn't going to come to you.
Right.
You've got to keep going, fail, get up, keep going, fail again, keep going. And I made
100%.
mistakes along the way where I was like, oh, that was bad. That was an embarrassment. I need to take that down and redo that. And but it's a process. And then eventually at the end, you're like, looking back, you're like, wow, like I've actually achieved something in, what could have been the worst years of my life. But that, with the pandemic and everything, I mean, I think the reason that it was so important to me as well is, I think for mental health is, locked in the house was not good for me. I really needed to be productive. I
get that.
So, Shark Speak kind of helped me as much as, as much as I enjoyed it, it saved me a little bit as well.
Yeah. We're so now you're a famous published author on on the Shark book. And
Dave Ebert just said that, guys.
This will be the trailer for the episode.
Yeah. Mark that.
Flag it.
And because I know Princeton University Press is publishing the book. That's the same as done my Sharks of the World book and my field guide as well. So
best
Princeton,
shark books in the world, Dave. I love those books so much.
Oh,
I love
thank
them.
you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So Princeton, please repost this when it comes out. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Come on, Princeton.
Come on.
We want to promote those books.
Yeah. No, they had, but no, it's a really nice book. Now, I checked it. I was checking it. You had got an illustrator involved in doing with the.
We did, yeah, and it was Princeton found this illustrator, and oh my goodness, did he bring this to life? We actually, the book was supposed to be out before Christmas last year, and Dan and I were quite disappointed because they said, "Oh, we're going to have to delay it because the artist isn't ready." But now I'm so glad we delayed it, because what a job he's done. It's beautiful.
Yeah, no, it's very nice. It's a very nice book. It really is. It's nice. It covers a lot of ground in the book as well, and it's totally cool. And it is out now, right? It came out. It's
it is. Yeah, it's out now,
March
and you can buy
24th.
it online and in stores as well.
Awesome. Cool.
So
Yeah.
let me ask you this, as we're promoting it and want people to buy it,
Yes.
who's it targeted to? Like, who's the audience? Yeah, who's the audience?
Yeah.
You know, what do you want people to get out of this book? What do you and Dan want people to get out of this book?
I wanted to write something that I wished I'd had when I first realised I was interested in
Perfect.
sharks.
Yeah.
Because, we wanted to target this at intelligent members of the public, which is a huge amount of the public. I think that some shark books feel a little bit patronising, and there's a lot for kids, and then there's books for scientists. And I wanted something in the middle, that like the intelligent young adults and curious adults who want to learn about this without it being too heavy and still being fun and light and interesting, but got a lot of the science in there in a way that people can understand it. Because if people can't understand it, then scientists are failing, because we should be communicating it better. So we wanted to write something with that kind of tone that's fun and funny, and there's a lot of little puns in there. We had a great time writing the chapter headings, as you can tell. We've got, my partner will be very proud because Jurassic Shark made it in there, which was his idea.
Nice.
So we got some great little puns in there, which me and Dan really, really enjoyed. That's where we got to have a bit of personality with it as well.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
It's nice you're able to do that stuff.
Yeah.
And so you've been out on a book tour now, doing some talks and
yes,
promoting it.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm open to more. So if anybody wants to get in touch, I'm doing some sort of nights out with the public in bookshops and things.
Nice.
But I'm also starting to go into some primary schools and some secondary schools and into universities as well to sort of talk to some kids about this stuff, which I'm really excited about. So it's really cool to actually I've been doing this online for so long. I think it's kind of surprising for people to be like, oh, you're actually a real person. I can actually talk to you. And I'm like, yeah, please do come and talk to me.
You do exist.
I am real.
Exactly.
Yeah. So now that you've actually written a book now, do you think you'll write another one?
I have started a second one. I actually started it before the first one even came out. Yeah, and I'm sort of looking to shop that around soon. I haven't finished it. I'm about halfway through, but yeah, I am writing a second one.
Okay. Is this what is it the same thing? Is it geared towards younger people or just anyone? Or
it's going to be geared sort of towards adults, and it is. I really want to write about what it feels like to be a shark and the experiences that sharks have in their world and how they feel and see and think and what their brains are like and do they have emotions and do they communicate and I want people to realize we're so past this old outdated idea that sharks are stupid, cold, mindless. It's time for people to know the truth.
Well, this June it'll be 50 years since Jaws came out.
Yes.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, I shouldn't say I'm embarrassed, but I actually saw the movie when it came out 50 years ago, so I'll leave it at that. But it's kind of like I've been around a long time, Dave. But I like to say, well, at least your co-author in this book, Dan, he was around too. So
exactly.
And Dan's a little older than me, so I feel young. So I feel young with that company there. And so that should be a good opportunity to promote some of it with the Jaws coming out and see where things have gone.
What a change! I mean, 50 years, but what a change, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's funny to me because you guys weren't even born when the movie came out. And
when did it come out? 77?
75.
Oh yeah, no. My brother was born. I was 3 years later.
Yeah.
Close.
Yeah, you were close. Sophie was
close.
Wasn't even in the planning.
I was non-existent.
You weren't even. You weren't even your parents' plans at all. Your parents. I'm sure your parents weren't even married at that time.
Probably not.
Yeah. So.
In fact, I'm pretty sure my dad took a date to the film Jaws, and she asked him how they trained the shark to do that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm fairly certain that he's told me that story before. So there you go.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I just went with a bunch of my hooligan thug teenage friends because I was at that age where our moms dropped us off to watch the movie. So
going to see a horror film.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in Monterey, so it was I was diving and surfing and stuff at that point. So You just knew sharks were around. There'd be occasional shark attacks. You didn't think any, but people that came in from like out of the area, it was a bigger deal if they saw a shark or something. It was more
Yeah.
the sensational stuff you read about or hear about. Yeah, that would be
Was highlighted there.
Was
Yeah.
highlighted there. But if you grew up around the ocean, you just sharks are around. Sometimes things happen.
It's
but you
that
don't
mystery
really.
of something you don't know, right? It's an alien thing,
Yep.
so
Yeah.
it gets bigger in your mind when
Well,
it's so distant, right?
the thing at the time too is like there was no you couldn't even like when you're especially when you're a young person and we knew nothing about sharks. To say you didn't know anything about it would be an understatement at the
It's true.
time.
Mm.
You knew nothing about them, so you'd think like like even things like I always tell the story like one of the climactic scenes is the shark jumping on the boat and eating Quint. Back then people thought it was crazy. Oh, sharks can't jump, and it was
Yeah, God.
so it was
Interesting.
yeah. I mean, literally, you literally thought like I mean, I knew a lot of big prominent people. Like, well, I didn't know him at the time. I was in high school, but years later, when I got to know Leonard Campagno and Don Nelson
Mm.
and Sonny Gruber and all those guys, no one really thought sharks could jump at all.
No.
And
Only fur seals. Only
yeah,
fur seals.
only
do.
fur seals. And yeah, and I know I've told the story many times in the episode, but I remember seeing the first time I saw it in South Africa. The local
Oh,
people in South Africa knew about it, but nobody in the outside world did because
Yeah.
nobody had filmed. This is before Chris Fallows.
Yeah.
And
wow.
I remember telling people like the people I mentioned and they thought I was nuts or drunk or stoned or something. And then then after I left South Africa, Chris Fallows filmed it, and suddenly everybody's going, "Hey, Dave, you know these white sharks breached?" And I'm like, well, "Yeah, I kind of told you that like 5 years ago." You
But
guys
why are
thought
we
I
not
was
listening to me?
yeah, no.
You just didn't do it in a nice photograph like Chris Fallows or a Shark Week
Shark Week show,
ongoing
Jeff Kerr.
Jeff Kerr and
Yeah,
stuff. But that
yeah. So,
told
but
it
anyway,
beautifully.
but the thing is, I just said that it's a little reminiscent, but it's like just how far we've come in the 50 years. Now you've got these fabulous
Yeah.
books like you're doing now, and there's a lot of certainly see a lot of women in the field, and it's just been
Yeah.
the field's just come so far from that time, and it's going to be an interesting thing with Jaws 50 years coming up, and all these nice wonderful books out now.
Yeah.
For sure, it'll be really neat to see. So you gonna be doing any more promotional things coming up? You're gonna be doing with the
I've
book?
got a couple of lectures coming up that I'm really excited about.
Cool.
One of them actually at the university that I did my undergraduate degree on, so I get to come back
Cool.
as like
cool.
a rock star alumnus and sort of walk the
Yes.
halls again, and I think that's going to be quite surreal, but amazing because I haven't been back there since I graduated 300 years ago, so it's going to be really, really cool to go back. Really excited for that.
That'll be
so.
really
In the talks, like, what are you going to be talking about? Obviously, you're going to be pulling stuff from the book and just stuff from your vast library of material. But how do you present, sharks to these classes or these students who are attending?
So it really depends on who I'm talking to. When I'm at a university, a lot of the people that are attending are, sort of in science field, so these are people that are quite open to quite advanced lectures, which is great. So I go into a little bit of the sort of taxonomy and all the different groups and how we tell them apart. And reproductive strategies is one of my favorite things to talk about. I love it so much, and people always get mind blown by that. But when I'm going sort of more towards the public, I love to do like fun shark quizzes where I put up sort of facts that people think they know about sharks, and and then I'm like, nope, you're wrong, that's false, and pull out great statistics about shark attacks that always surprise people. Like for every one person bitten by a shark, there's 5 people bitten by New Yorkers is one that goes down really well. But so I sort of try to keep it quite light. I think that fun is the way to learn. The more fun it is, the more people are laughing, they are remembering things, and when they're having a pint later on with a friend, they're going, oh, I heard this crazy fact about sharks, and then they share it with somebody else, and joy spreads that way. So I always try to make it quite fun. I don't
For
want to be
sure.
one of those dusty lecturers that, that
Oh
everyone's
God,
falling
no.
asleep in the back row.
Yeah, no.
Well, you got to
Especially
tell stories. You're not just telling facts. You're
right.
not just going to
Yeah,
be a textbook. You're doing what you're doing in the book and trying to lighten
exactly.
it up. Bring
Yeah.
emotion into it. Get people to
You want,
really understand where these sharks are coming from.
yeah, like I say, you want to inspire people
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
go to know. I mean, most. I think it's always good to, like, if you can inspire people. Most people are not going to do sharks. It's just not it's not that big a field. Everybody grows out of that for the most part. But you want to.
True.
But if you can inspire people for whatever they pursue, I think it's an important
yeah,
thing. They'll go out for whatever they do want to do. They'll just get inspired about it.
yeah.
And I think that's kind of, like, I think, an important message to bring
Yeah.
Yeah.
As
to
a
bring out
as
to
a
people.
woman, that's really important for me as well, because every time I meet young women who are studying or training or just interested, people that are just curious, it's always lovely to hear, oh, it's so great that we see a woman doing this. And,
Yes.
maybe my daughter could do this. And I'm like, your daughter can do this
Yeah.
100%. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, and
Yeah.
I didn't realize, I had a student in the Bahamas in the summer sort of say to me, she gave me a hug and said, oh my God, you're my inspiration. And I just was like, oh my God, like, wow,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's incredible. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, go
Mhm.
on, rock star, and go do your
Yeah.
thing and be amazing. It's
Yeah.
an amazing thing to
That's
be able to
great.
inspire people.
That's a
Well,
super
and,
good
and
feeling.
and you're inspiring people like through like a different way of you and Dan are writing this book in a very different way. And I love the headings. I'm just looking over
I
some of
had
these
so much
headings.
fun with that. I fought for those. They kept trying to take them out, and they'd send the drafts back, and I would just politely delete them and put them back in.
Without saying anything, just
Yeah,
send it back. This is
just send
just
it
a
back.
little passive, Yeah,
Eventually,
I like that.
somebody will miss this, and it'll just get through.
Well, the one that really stands out to me is like, sharks that break the rules. I
Oh yeah.
love that heading. So
Oh,
what is meant like what can people expect from that
that
section?
that was my absolute favorite section to write, and I loved it so much because Dan sort of said to me, he was like, Sophie, this is your forte. I'm
Right.
going to step back, just go to town on it and just have fun. And I just, racked my brains for it was all of the things that I had learned about sharks that blew my mind.
Gotcha.
Like, wait, some sharks glow in the dark? What?
Right.
Like, that
Yeah.
can't be true. Some sharks can throw their jaw out their mouth. That can't be true. Sharks use their
Yeah.
tail as a whip. All these things that are just mind blowing. And
Mm-hmm.
I use the term James Bond shark to refer to that stereotype. It's the
Yes.
grey, reef shark looking shark. That's
Mm.
not what sharks are. And so with that
Right.
chapter, we really wanted to show people sharks are not this one thing. It's not shark. There's hundreds and they're all different and they're all
Yeah.
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Do you talk? I haven't gone through the entire book yet, but do you get into rays or ghost sharks much at all?
We haven't, no. So we kept
Yeah.
it sort of just to sharks. We sort of briefly touch upon sort of sawfishes and things, and very
Mm.
briefly, but no,
Yeah.
it's. I feel like we'd need a whole other book for that. Princeton,
Well,
There
that's
you,
what it
come on.
sounds like. I think you just kind of came up with
there
that
you go.
idea. I mean,
There we
you and Dan
go.
have to get on it and maybe
Yeah.
bring Dave in to talk about
Come on,
those ghost
Dave.
sharks in the deep
Let's
sea.
get
Yeah.
going.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
well, I got well, I, yeah. Well, then my next book's going to be on the ghost sharks of the world. So,
Nice.
Princeton's publishing that one. So
Awesome.
we'll get that one out there. Yeah. Well, as we talk, you'll probably find this out if you haven't already. But when you talk about the rays and the chimeras, if you call them flat sharks or ghost sharks, you'll get a whole different reaction from the audience than you will if you say rays or
Yep.
chimeras,
Skates or chimeras.
chimeras. Manta rays and sawfish, you get a little bit of a reaction, but
Yeah.
even the sawfish, you don't get as much of a reaction unless you start talking about shark rays, or if you somehow work shark into the name, you get a much better reaction than just
It's
saying.
crazy how powerful that language is, isn't it? It's just this subtle
It is
shift in
unreal.
language can change the way you think
Yeah.
about the animal
Yep.
completely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
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 I stumbled onto that probably 15 years ago. I really saw the
Mm,
power of, like, wow, if you use the right terminology, you'll just get amazing,
Yeah.
amazing
mm.
response, from that stuff, So
Well,
yeah.
one thing that I want to ask too, as we kind of wrap up, Sophie, is you've written a lot about sharks online and posted online. What's the shark that surprised you most that people were really paying attention to? Like that may not have been in the regular conversation? Is there a particular species that have come out being like, you've written about it, you're like, I don't think this is really going to hit well, and then all of a sudden people are generating a lot of interest about it?
Oh, that's a really good question. The one that springs to mind that is one that I didn't realize was as famous as it is the goblin
Right.
shark. A
Oh,
lot.
right.
I
Yeah.
had no idea that it was such a fan favorite.
Right.
But it really is. But you put something out about a goblin shark and people love it. I think there's a lot more interest in this mysterious deep sea, what is down there, sort of crazy monsters idea than
100%.
we knew
Yeah.
about before. And as the technology
Yeah.
is getting better, we're learning more and more. And those characters, in the deep sea are starting to become a bit more more
I feel like
iconic, really.
Even just the name Goblin Shark generates interest, right?
So good.
Well, the thing is, if you see them in the wild, which I have, and I tell the audiences, they're literally they're pink with bluish fins, and like whoever thinks of a pink shark.
No, exactly.
That is so cool.
That's one of the things I talk about, how people they think sharks are kind of gray or brown or black, but whoever thinks of a pink shark. And
no, it's true. You never think of
that.
Oh,
well, the thing
so
is, once
cool.
you preserve them, and after they're dead, they turn brownish.
Right.
And so people didn't realize. But if you see one alive in the wild, they'll be pinkish to a whitish. But we see one with this tends to be more on the pinkish side with the kind of got a tinge of bluish fins.
Wow.
It's like nobody thinks about that for a shark.
Okay, so I didn't know that. So I'm now going to my computer and I'm going to do another little fast fact for the website.
You have to write another book.
Yeah.
Goblin sharks are pink.
That's the book title. That's the book title. Goblin sharks are pink.
That's my autobiography title right there.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, I love this. So you're going to be promoting the book, so people can check on the website of where you're going to be showing up. Is that?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm going to all on my social media feeds, which you can find through my website. So I'm very active on social media, and I'll sort of post a lot of stuff about where I'm going to be. And also, everyone could just reach out to me. My email's on there. Please feel free to get in touch or ask questions or whatever. I love hearing from people.
Great.
Perfect.
Well, that's good. We'll have all that stuff up there, and we'll when the thing comes out, we'll definitely promote it, and hopefully lots of people buy the book.
Yes.
Yes. And Sophie, can you just tell everybody the website, just so that people can get access to it?
Yes, so it's www.sophiemaycocksharkspeak.com, and you can Google Sharkspeak as well, on Facebook, on Instagram as well. It's very findable. So.
Okay. Yeah, and not a problem. We'll also put the link in our show notes so that people can get access to as well. Sophie, this has been so great to have you on. We can't wait to have you on and hear more about your writing, whether it's a book or on the website or on social media or whatever that might be. We really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. This has been so great. I can't wait to come back. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Sophie, for joining us on this episode of the Beyond Jaws podcast, a bonus episode. I promise everybody we will have Sophie on for her full journey to learn more about it in a full episode very, very soon. Dave, what did you think? You've had a chance to roam through the book. What do you think and peruse? What do you think? What do you think about the book?
Terrific book. Terrific book. It's definitely this is a get book to have. And if you haven't gotten my books,
there you go. Yes,
get those as well. And no, it was really terrific. I hadn't, other than just communicating through social media stuff, I really didn't know Sophie, but boy, she was electric. I was just really had a great time talking with her, talking about the book. I think the whole way the book came about, or actually her whole website, Sophie Maycock Sharkspeak, the way that came about, and how she got hooked up with Dan Abel. It was terrific, and enjoyed talking a little bit about the Jaws 50th anniversary, which you and Andrew and I are going to have a special episode coming up. We'll talk about a little more later, coming in June when Shark Week, when Jaws' 50th anniversary comes up. And so anyway, but yeah, she was terrific. I'm really we're definitely going to have her back on to share more of her journey. And we'll talk about, I'm sure, other things like Sharknado and some of these other twisted things we enjoy talking about.
I like how you use twisted for tornadoes. I like
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
No, it was a great episode. Sophie is an amazing person and a great scientist doing the good work of science communication. Obviously, we are biased because we are definitely all like everything is all in on science communication. And it's just it's a lot of fun, as Sophie mentioned. We have a lot of fun doing it, and so does she. And I think that's where we really connected here, and I think it'll connect with our audience. So it's really fun to have Sophie on. We're gonna put the links to her book through her website. You can just click on there and you can buy it through there, and you get more information on the book as well. But I highly recommend that everybody gets the book. It's a lot of fun. If you like I said, if you thought you knew about sharks, think again, because this book will really make you think, and I think you're going to enjoy it. So go there, Shark Speak. Sophie Maycock, sharkspeak.com, or we'll put the link in the show notes, and then you can go for the book. And we want to thank you, Dave. I want to thank you. And of course, we want to thank Sophie for joining us on today's episode of the Beyond Jaws podcast. Thank you so much. From Dave and I, we really appreciate everybody listening, supporting us on YouTube, supporting us on Instagram. Dave, if people want to get to follow you on Instagram, how do they do so?
Just go find Lost Shark Guy, and on Instagram, and check out our my YouTube thing, Lost Shark Guy, and the series Searching for Lost Sharks, Extinct or Alive, on YouTube now. And it's a new series. 2 episodes are up. For episode 3 we're going to have here soon. And also, so please subscribe there, and also go to the Beyond Jaws YouTube site and subscribe there. We really appreciate it, and leave a comment on both sites as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we'd love to hear your feedback. Love to hear how you love the show. Maybe some feedback, critical feedback we'll take as well. We just love the fact that you're listening. Thank you so much. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time, and happy conservation.